Welcome to the weekly Woodcast with Dennis and Michael Woodworth, and we have some special guests here today that are going to talk about a really cool subject. It's food. What's good and bad about it, what's right and wrong about it, and I'm really excited about this episode because I've been fortunate enough to watch a lot of food shows over this wonderful pandemic time, and I'm really curious to see what our guests have to say today. Yep. Eric Matuchet, who is the head teacher, the professor at Nova Scotia Community College in regards to the culinary division of the Nova Scotia Community College. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And one of his students, which is actually, he's staying at our home now.
Yep.
And it's nice to have Dylan because actually the very first time we did sound checks on our podcast, Dylan, you were my guinea pig. So now it's for real, right? And to be a student in your first year, you're starting from the ground up, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Which a lot of students, when you say a high school student coming out of school would know nothing about food or making any type of food on their own, just go to university anywhere and see what the kids are making on their own. That's why they have meal plans in universities.
Yeah, this is an advanced course, though. It's like they call culinary skills, but you do learn the basic for sure, but it's oriented towards the professionalism, right? So that's important, which is important to specify that, because a lot of courses you think you just, I'm going to start college or start culinary skills, and then we're going to bake a few cookies, and that's not that's not going to that's more oriented professionally,
Eric, it's funny you mentioned that because we've had some people. We have a podcast called Fishbowl Fridays every Friday night, and my guest speakers that come in, and we talked about where some of the subjects that used to be in high school no longer exist, like industrial arts and home economics, where you don't learn how to really look after yourself or even learn how to make the basic foods, let alone what you're teaching at NSCC.
Sure. Yeah.
What how has it been so far through the pandemic as a teacher?
It's been challenging, I have to say, for all of us, for all teachers. Whatever you teach is a totally different approach, totally different way to teach, except the practicum. The practicum is a hands-on, so we do a demo. Hopefully they listen to you or look at you, take notes, and we know right away if they...
This is a yes,
if they were successful.
This is a yes.
If they were successful or not. It is a hands-on course originally, and we had to cut literally half of it. So, because of the contact hours by the regulation, the Nova Scotia regulation, the Canadian regulation.
So, if people haven't guessed yet, you're French. So are you from France? Are you French Canadian, Acadian?
Yeah. No, I'm from France.
You're from France, originally from France. What part of France?
Born and raised in France, Champagne region, east part of France, between Champagne and Burgundy. Nice way to sit for that.
Yeah. What made you come to Canada?
My ex-wife was from Bridgewater.
Really?
Yeah, met her at the Pines. Met her at the Digby Pines. So, she was from Bridgewater. So we decided we lived in Switzerland for a very, very long time, almost 10 years. And then we decided to move to Canada. Mm-hmm. We have two children together. So there was Max and Nick. And they are like 25 and 26 now. And so we raised them in Canada. We lived in Erie Cross by the Crooked Lake.
I know where it is.
You know it is. And a lovely town. Like it's great. A great neighborhood. 15 minutes away from Bridgewater. It's just great. Yeah.
So what made you get into, were you a teacher in France, or what made you get into teaching here?
No, not at all. No, it's actually it's a great honor in France to be a teacher. And here the perception is a little different, but I'm not going to go there. It was an opportunity when I was working at White Point.
Right.
And the friend of mine, Reimer Fullendorf, who was a teacher there before, and he asked me, we need a second teacher for second years or for advanced cooking, etc. So I said, yeah, sure, I can apply. And what an honor, thank you, and that was 17 years ago.
Wow.
I know, yeah, and 17 years ago, and then now I was like, wow, yeah, yeah.
So you made an
Enjoy.
impact on a lot of students then.
I think so, good or bad for sure. I mean, that's typical teacher, some like you, something like.
Well, I mean, that's
But
just the way of life, right?
yeah. Well, we're not here for that. I was not here for to be, like to not. It was really to deliver some kind of knowledge, curriculum, experience. It's great opportunity. It's a
Well,
huge
especially you being
opportunity.
from France. I
Yeah.
mean, I was telling you off camera before that, all those shows that I watched during the pandemic when I was in Cuba, one of them was, the Chef's Table World Competition. And it was amazing to see the amount of passion and creativity that went into every plate that every group of chefs did each week.
Yeah.
I mean, it is amazing the thought, the knowledge and passion that goes behind the work they do.
That is correct. If you don't have any passion when you start that job, with that career, with that path, you're gonna miss something. You need to be passionate. You need to be working hard. You're gonna work weekends, Christmas, New Year's, most of the time, holidays. When everybody's off, you're gonna work, and when everybody's working, you're off sometimes. So it's great to get a dentist appointment, because you can on a Tuesday afternoon, because you're gonna be off. But unfortunately, weekends, long days. The first couple of years, you're not going to be able to make a lot of money, because you have to gain experience to grow in that industry,
100%.
et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes that's what young cooks or young chef, they call chef, but they're really young cooks who will give up. They're just a guy, no, I cannot live on minimum wage.
So Dylan, you're in a situation where you're looking at your second month
Yeah.
there now,
Third, pretty sure.
third month. So far, so good.
Yeah, of course. When I started, it was, for me, it was a little bit rocky. Because, I was like, when I got in, I was like, okay, do I really want to do this? And I think after it was like a month in, I decided, yeah. And then I just started doing it. I was happy doing it.
Right.
I didn't really have any problems. I liked doing it. So it's like, yeah, I'll continue doing this.
What do you like most about it so far?
Well, I would say hands-on, but we haven't really done, we don't do as much as we should, like last year, but we've done a lot of things. We've done dishes from other places. We talk a lot about like France. I think next week we're doing pad thai. See what else? There was something. Cordon bleu.
Cordon bleu.
Yeah.
Listen, when you guys do cordon bleu, you call me. I'm on my way.
That's
One of my top 3 dishes in the world, and I've eaten that dish at least once a week in Holguin, Cuba. I found one restaurant that could do it well, and I revisit that one restaurant for that reason. So if you do cordon bleu really well, you get a return customer, right? So that's, buddy,
pretty
you're
sure
bringing that
that's-
home to the house, okay?
Pretty sure that's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. Yeah.
I'll be ready. I'll be ready, Dylan.
We do like Dylan mentioned. We do the kind of the hands-on basics. Another word, you open up, you do one recipe, like cordon bleu, for example, and it leads you to chicken Kiev, to any breaded recipe, and on and on and on. So what we mostly do, because we don't have anymore that luxury to have 5 days a week, to
Right.
a restaurant opening for lunch and dinner, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't have that anymore. So we have to basically show the student one recipe, which can lead to 10 other ones,
Right.
if you know how to do it.
Exactly.
That is the downside of the not having the time anymore to feed the cafeteria, the restaurant. We used to have lunch and dinner on a go. Second years, all the functions at KG Mikujik, Helping Parkview, White Point, you name it. I mean, it was really, really, we're on the go every month, every Friday afternoon, every Friday evening, sometimes Saturdays, sometimes both. and be able to help the community to
That's awesome.
to do their Christmas dinner or functions or stuff party or whatever. So it was that we missed that for sure. But having that as another approach, I think we cover more. We're going to cover more in detail or hands-on, one-on-one. But we're not going to be as broad as we used to be.
Right.
That's all. But
Well, hopefully, knock on wood, the days do change where we can have some form of normalcy again. But you have to get creative in these kind of situations,
Exactly,
which we talked about earlier. So
yeah.
the challenges of taking a high school student, which most of your students probably have almost zero knowledge.
We have
coming in.
We have both. We have mature students. We have 17, 18 years old, finished grade 12 last year, and that's the youngest we can have. We can have actually 17. Most of them, I think, half of the class is illegal. When we have to do a beer butter, I have to switch to 7-Up. have to switch to 7-Up. I cannot even use a beer. But and on the other hand, we have mature student who is like wants to be better, so they work for the last 10, 15 years, and wants to get the kind of upper scale, we call that, or just higher standards. And be able to develop the creativity, the basics, in order to.
So you could be really,
better,
you could be a single mom or single dad or whatever the case may be, and you may be a good cook in your home, and you want to open that opportunity for a career. You could actually, apply.
Oh no, as well.
And
restaurant
do that
business.
very well.
We
Love
have
it.
restaurant business. We have
Restaurant
cafe.
business.
We have cafes
Love
who
it.
just wants to develop their skills to be a better. Even we have some kind of a management course. We teach the students about the yield, the waste of that items. What you can do with this. How you can be more efficient with that cut, with that produce. Like, can you sell it for more money, etc., etc. So it's a lot of eye opener for professional as well, and of course for young students. But it's really for all ages. There's no, I wouldn't put an age on that course at all. Like it's really open to anyone. Second, third year.
Fantastic. Yeah. So Dylan, when you think about when you decided to do this, what really pushed you in that direction?
So it was something I kind of did like a bit at home.
Right.
It wasn't like a lot.
Because I can call your mother and I can ask her if you did a lot of it or not.
Yeah. And but no, I went to Parkview last year.
Right.
I think we had foods and hospitalities and a food science, and that was all we really had for anything related to it. But I took food science in my senior year, and then I graduated. And I think it was about, grade 11. I was like trying to think about what I want to do. And I think I was nearly done grade 11, and I was just like, you know what, why not go into cooking? Why not go to the NSCC? Why not try to become a cook or a chef? And then in November, grade 12, I was like, you know what? There was the open house, so I decided to go. I saw around. I liked it, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to sign up, put my name in, and see what happens. And I got in, so here I am.
It's fantastic. I mean, you think about the amount of countries in the world, Eric, that just have such different cuisines. Like
absolutely. That's what I told you before. Remember, like I was a chef. I was executive chef at Beau Rivage Palace, and it was a cafe. It was a branch of the Beau Rivage Palace in Lausanne, and we had to do Thai cuisine. I had no idea. I have no idea how to Thai cuisine. And they look at me kind of, you the executive chef, you should know. No, we learn European cuisine by heart. We know inside out. European, like German, Italian, French, of course, etc. We know that by heart. But when it comes to Asian cuisine...
That's a whole different part of the planet too, right?
No idea. No, I never worked with green curry paste and coconut milk, and I never did. And so... Our guests couldn't believe it, so I was like, and then you become like the humble guy. Suddenly you kind of, hang on a second, he's other than French cuisine, he's other than flavors of Mediterranean flavors, you know. So he opens, he opened the horizon, but on the other hand, there's a lot more to learn, a lot.
I don't think it ever. Yeah, I don't think in
no
that
end on it.
field you ever stop
You
learning.
never stop learning.
Even the greatest in the world
Yes,
push
because we have
themselves all the time.
that is correct. We have our specialties. We all do, and the French culinary exams are based on French culinary.
Right.
So they have no absolutely nothing to do with either India or Asia or African cuisine. We don't do that at all. So, but what we know about European cuisine, we know like that is a very 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 thorough knowledge. So, but that's after that when you open the doors to other cuisine. Wow, it's a whole different world.
Well, you don't go to when you go to a restaurant that's a specific style restaurant, they don't have every cuisine on the.
No,
the
fusion.
menu.
The fusion is probably your best bet.
Yeah.
Most of the time, when you open a restaurant with a little fusion, a little bit of Italian, a little bit of French, a little bit of Asian, you're going to be very successful usually to open up to different young, like for the younger generation, for the older generation with the traditional, homemade cooking, French food. They call the famous French food, and the flavors we know. And some younger one, I found the younger generation likes the hot food, the smaller portion.
That's Michael and I.
Lean,
Yes.
yes.
I did not like hot food for the longest time, honestly. And Dylan, actually, one of the first nights that when I came home, we had hot chicken wing night. And it's just I've acquired the taste for hot food because it just accentuates the flavor so much in certain foods.
In certain food, yes.
foods.
And sometimes you can destroy it. So
That's right.
I have to agree and disagree on the same time because is some they can find fish or fine meat like a veal or a different kind of fish, shrimp in general, and then too hot, you have no idea what you're eating.
Yeah.
So that's kind of.
So what would be if I were to put you on the spot and ask you, what would be your favorite meal? If I was coming to your home and you were going to make your favorite dish, what would you do? Or just what would you make?
I love salmon. Salmon in any ways, plank salmon, we're going to work with that. We did that today, actually, coincidentally. Any braising, I love deer meat. I grew up with old venison. I remember my mother never buy a steak, never bought a steak in her life. We always have, pheasant, wild boar, elk, deer, etc., etc. So, lot of stew. Beef bourguignon, if you heard the beef bourguignon, coq au vin, all those kind of things, and they are really the staples of home cuisine. Believe it or not, you go to a home, you eat bourguignon and coq au vin. You don't have to go to a fancy restaurant.
No.
So it's literally we call the home cooking food. Became super developed and of course high standard into restaurant now, but it is home cooking. Yeah.
And it's ingredients too, depending on where you live.
Absolutely.
Where we live in Atlantic Canada, on the east coast of Canada, there's a lot of seafood recipes because we have scallops and lobster and
That's right, salmon
and shrimp and salmon and haddock and so many different types of products that we have available to us. And if you're in the Midwest of Canada, there's a lot of beef products.
That's correct.
So it just depends on where you live, and if you're living in Thailand or if you're living in Italy or France or whatever the case may be, it just depends on where you're living.
That's right, and the region of it, because France, a lot of people
For ingredients.
For ingredients. So south of France is going to be more like Italy, Spain, and north of France will be more like a German dish, and the west part of France, like Britain, is going to be pretty much more the Atlantic coast. So looks like Nova Scotia. Or Nova Scotia looks like more.
Yeah, exactly.
But lobster, scallop, shrimp, halibut, haddock, exact same ingredient. We have the exact same thing. And different produce. And you go down to the Mediterranean Sea, which is very close to Italy, Spain, France, south of France. So, 200, 300 kilometers away, and so if you compare Canada to France, it's just like a few hundred kilometers, 3 hours, 4 hour drive. You're a totally different zone, totally different region, and you're gonna eat totally different food.
Which is very different than here, because if you go from here, Montreal would be the first major difference because Quebec is Well, France.
Yeah, Moncton. Yeah.
Really?
Probably,
Moncton and
yeah,
Moncton
yeah.
East.
You got to get
Moncton West. Moncton West.
Moncton West, and then after that, Quebec, Montreal
Yeah.
for different food. Yes, I would say yes.
Distinctly different.
Totally, and after that would
The
be
knowledge
Regina.
base
Yes.
comes from obviously, family heritages and generations of recipes from their families, and you can see it, you can smell it. France is distinctly unique in our country for Canada, for sure.
It is, and then Quebec.
Quebec,
City is really, really, really small of France. Like not so much Montreal anymore, but Quebec, the old Quebec, I'm talking. The central Quebec is really like some street in France. And
Well, it's rich in culture.
It's fantastic.
Rich.
I was shocked, actually. I was like, oh my gosh, since I come home.
So, Dylan, when you look at all the cuisines that are out there that you've learned so far, what's your favorite?
I'd have
So
to
far.
think. So far, I think it was 3-4 weeks ago. We made what we had. It had a lot of stuff. It was mostly like vegetable. It was chicken. It had chili pepper, green pepper. Oh God, I can't think of the name right now.
Stir fry?
Stir fry. Yes, there you go.
Like your teacher's right beside you. You can ask.
No,
You're not going to get marked.
but
Stir fries are fantastic
Yeah.
because they're healthy, and you can use your creativity.
You combine techniques as well, so
Yeah.
that's why we try to show them the technique of the cuts, why you cut that way, why you add those ingredients, because it's related to an Asian recipe. So what is Asian recipe belongs to, okay, we have ginger, we have oyster sauce, etc. So and stuff that is just they're allowed to try. We want them to try to understand why we're doing that way, etc. And then it opens up. You want to do with rice, you want to do with egg noodles, you want to do so. Yeah, again, it's endless. Stir fry. You want to use chicken, you want to use just veg, you want to use shrimp, you want to use beef, pork, you name it. The technique's the same.
Well, when it comes to someone like yourself, too, Dylan, we've talked about this. To have the skills that you're going to have, you're not going to be long on the market because there's not many. There's a lot of women that would love to have a man in the house that knows how to cook like you're going to be taught by your teacher. So it's
You got to be popular.
yeah, absolutely right. I mean, it's just you like they would say you have to go to the kitchen. I'm here. What? Like, what do you mean by that? Are you from outer space somewhere? Or?
Well, they like the first date.
Yeah, absolutely right. You can really impress the girl the first date for sure. Like you're coming over to my apartment or my house, and I'm going to cook for you. That's 10 out of 10.
It is. It's a true fact. On the other hand, right now they're going to learn the basics. They're not going to go too much in depth, like in the first semester.
Well, yeah,
It's
absolutely.
we covered really the basics. If you have another interview within 6 months when you graduate with all the international cooking that we're going to do, etc., then that is a different approach.
So after the first year, Eric, where do you recommend them to go next?
Second year. So
there's a second year in Halifax, I believe.
Kentville, as well. Kentville, so Kingsec campus offered it. Ikerly, Halifax, Dartmouth, and Sydney. Marconi.
Oh, Cape Breton.
So Cape Breton. So if you do have family there, like that's what we recommend. Go where you can stay, because an apartment in Halifax and an apartment in Kentville is two different. You know what I mean?
I know people in Cape Breton, man. I know people all over. Actually, all those three locations, I got people there over that.
Right. And that's what we recommend. I mean, the first year is great, no question about it. You get great skills. You're gonna go to good work experience, etc. But if you want to make a career and if you want to make the bucks, like we always recommend, do have to have almost second years. Great co-op after that, like good work experience. Good. And then if you have your management skills, then of course you're going to move on to sous chef, and then you're going to make your 6 digits. But I mean, that's what we always. Not everybody is made to be an executive chef, but you have opportunity to work pretty much everywhere in the world. And everywhere.
That's what I love.
Yeah, between a little cafe in Bridgewater to a 4 or 5 star in London, if you want to, really.
It's amazing.
So and then that's what the money is. I mean, we talk about a lot of students are quitting after first years. Oh, I'm student. graduated student who give up is I don't make enough money. And then I said, well, that's really up to you because the money is there. Cook on boat right now, ship cook. You are talking all about they cannot keep them out of the world.
Absolutely.
They need them. They need the qualified one. The guy like Dylan who's going to graduate or like after second years will be able to run 40 people on the ship, 3 meals a day. They are paying left, right, and center.
Absolutely.
Hospital, nursing home, unfortunately, this our way in a few years. I hope they're going to take care of us. You guys are fine, and I'm not. So I just want to make sure they're well trained. So when they take care of nursing home, hospital, dietitian, dietitian. They cannot be dietitian, but they can help around.
Right,
Definitely.
certainly.
They're going to know the diet and nutrition values in there. And then it's a huge amount of money they can make. So the money is there. If you want to stay in a corner cafe and peel carrots, and then yes, you're gonna get you $12 an hour.
Exactly.
But it's a huge opportunity everywhere now.
I had very good friends of mine when we all finished school together. They moved on. Jim Nichols is a good friend of mine, lives in Toronto now. He's one of the managers for Enterprise Car Rentals. And Mike Pope, who's a very good friend of mine, lives in Kingston, Ontario. He's a correctional officer. They actually went to Hard Rock Cafe in London, England, because Jimmy's brother, John, managed the Hard Rock. What an experience just to work there. And that's when you can go to certain restaurants in the world and learn from some of the best.
Yes.
And be able to live in those cultures at the same time and earn money. It's almost like you're traveling. You
get paid for travel.
And you get paid to travel. I think I told Dylan, I think it's a cat's meow. I really do. It's
7 years. I did that for 7 years. Travel the
especially
world.
being young.
Oh my gosh, I was 19 when I graduate because it's like so you do your grade 12, then you do your 2 years university, and it's hard. There is no question. It was It's 2 years of very very hard because you not only learn cooking, you learn management, you learn commerce. They call that the whole everything around. Plus your second language, plus your math, plus so it's literally a course on top of it. So I was like, anyway, I didn't realize until I came here and they say, all you have to do, guys, is 2 chapters for this week, really, because I'll think about it. But now it's totally different approach, and it's a really really high level exam, which when you have it for life for sure. And then we start traveling, and then at the time it was Switzerland. So Switzerland offered all the doors open. All the doors were open. Within a year, you become chef de party, or you become first chef de party. Oh my gosh, it was everywhere. And winter and summer station, we call them.
Right, exactly.
So you do winter in the Alps. And
Very
summer,
beautiful.
And summer by the lakes.
Very beautiful.
Oh my gosh! And then after that, it opens up a chef de party, Digby Pines. My first job outside France, outside Switzerland. So Digby Pines opened up and said, "Well, we need chef de party. Apply." At the time, it was the journal, like the newspaper, hotel newspaper. And then I said, "Well, I apply." And so we were 90 of us, 90 candidates, 4 positions, and I got one of them.
Fantastic.
I was so pumped. And then at the time they were paying the tickets if you stay all summer, and they would pay your ticket back. And then after that it was London, England. So you spend the whole summer there with private clubs. It was the St. James's Club downtown London, and Ritz-Carlton and Ritz-Carlton in Boston between, and it was something.
It's a journey.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I have an opportunity to go to beside Europe, go outside like this. Wow.
So you've talked to your students about your experiences.
Yeah, we talk as much as we can. I mean, I used to do the whole day on that. Now we do a little bit. I did a little bit, the introduction and stuff. But I mean, I met the Queen of England in Ascot, the Hippodrome, like the horse races there. So you cater for the Queen of England. And the year after that, at the Beau Rivage, when I became the sous chef of Beau Rivage, I catered to the Queen of Jordan, and on and on. And you say, "Oh my gosh, like you queen." Yeah, but that's what your clients were.
Well, what did I say, Dylan, last night? If you were listening, maybe you weren't, but Michael, I talked to Michael about it. What's the most important thing you have to run a business?
List.
Got to have a list.
You have
right?
a list.
Well, he's got a
yes,
pretty
you
good
do.
list, right? That's a pretty good list to have that he has right
It-
now,
it
right?
is.
So
and then we have celebrity. We had a lot of Schumacher. At the time it was a big Formula One champions and on and on. It was ongoing. Actors, lots and lots, and famous and on and singers, a lot of singers. So that was a huge experience for me. But you don't even realize you're 25, 6 at a time. You're kind of like, just I'm going to work, right?
oh yeah, and then all of a sudden you're immersed into a different world.
That is correct. But you don't even realize who that's
Yeah.
for. I used to cook for Tina Turner. That she had those famous baked potato, caviar, and stuff, and then this Tina Turner for me was okay. Well, I knew who she was, but I mean that was a client. That she was.
That's
a client.
exactly right. And if she loves what you do, they return.
Oh,
and
yeah.
those are good clients, Eric.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not going to lie.
Yeah. Sure, she
They're-
don't remember me, but I remember her.
Their credit cards are black.
Oh yeah.
They have lots of limit on them. So when you talk about the
There's no
income earning
limit.
opportunity
Yeah, it's
that
not-
you have as a chef, that's where it comes, really, is your clientele
Yes,
list.
you
Where
do. You do. And private club and handpick a little bit if you have a choice, and they do have now, kind of handpick your restaurant. Wherever you want to go, it's open. So basically, at the time, I was going more like for the fame and the higher standards. And so private club was the higher standard. You cook eliminate, you cook as you need. And then I switch more like to resorts and big hotel palaces and stuff like that, because you have an opportunity to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Good banquet, restaurant, breakfast, you name it. So it was a full meal for that. So that was great. And then eventually, when I came back to Canada, I finished at the White Point Beach, and I spent a few months at Prince George in Halifax, and
White Point's a nice little spot. It's
a great resort.
and it's in the middle of nowhere, really. I mean,
That's
but it's a
correct.
very, and some people like that. They like just
do.
having the exclusivity and the quiet,
Oh, yeah.
right on the water. White Point's done a good job, and Digby Pines is another one.
Oh, yeah.
If you're wondering, if you're listening to the podcast, I mean, White Point Beach is located down on the southwest shore of Nova Scotia, right on the water. Digby Pines is in the valley, just on the edge of the valley, in Digby. Well,
We have Oak Island here too. Like that's
Oak Island's a
competition.
nice
Oak
spot,
Island,
absolutely,
beautiful
and really well done now.
Absolutely.
The Petrie family used to own Oak Island decades ago, and then Atlantica came in and took it over and really ramped up Oak Island. They did a good job.
Yep. Yep.
So there's some great locations here, and there's Old Orchard,
Orchard
Inn in the Valley,
yes,
and of course there's
yes.
lots of places in Halifax to work. I mean, you could literally work because of the tourism industry here. You could work in a lot of places in Nova
And
Scotia.
we place them, and we place the student. Hopefully, we have good address book again for a student who wants to work. So if Dylan said, I want to stay around, I want to move around, I want to work in Halifax, so we have addresses where we can put them for work experience.
So Dylan, so far, and we're only talking a short amount of your life, but if you had a choice to go anywhere so far, where would you choose?
Well, I have some friends down in the States, but like that's not I wouldn't say a good place to be, but I'd say, let's see, I'd say somewhere's east, like maybe across the ocean, like Britain, France, anywhere's like around there, if I so chose, like in the future, but not right now.
No, I'm not talking. You're not ready right now.
But, like-
when you're ready, though, if you had what I'm saying is, that let's say it's 5 years from now.
Yeah,
You get some training along here. All of a sudden, you get a choice to go where you want to go.
yeah,
You'd like to go east, then.
yeah.
And
But like
that's-
now, I'd probably stay in Canada, but maybe not
totally.
stay here.
yeah,
But,
I mean,
another
absolutely.
place in Canada.
Oh, totally. I would suggest that too. 2 to 3 years until you kind of build up a basic knowledge, and then off you go. Yes.
Well, there's a lot of maturity when you live in other countries. You have to have You have to have a knowledge base of, and I know that because I live in another country half of the year. So you have to have contacts,
Yes.
people you can rely on to
Experience.
be able to get you that experience. Because if you don't, you can get lost fast.
Totally.
Right.
And that's what you want. You want to build up enough experience to have the confidence to go, the knowledge to go. The expectation that in Europe is high, like or are high. All the expectations from a cook has to be has to graduate. You have to have your papers. You'll never get to find a job without papers. So either Red Seal or journeyman or some sort like this. And Canadian consulate are really well established. Like if you come as a Canadian and you need work visa or kind of a student visa, even though you kind of or you finish school, they're gonna help you, and that'll help you at least for 8-10 months.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that way, I found that's to go legally and don't try to sneak in there and then having having no visa or whatever.
Well, there's too many opportunities with the credentials.
Yeah,
that you
because
need.
with a job like this, you're going to get a visa,
Yeah,
no
I mean,
problem at all.
no question.
No question. But you do need experience. I will recommend. Will recommend to make sure you have enough experience before you hit for Europe. Yes.
So tell me, Eric, the years that you've taught, does one student stand out that really has excelled in their field?
A lot of them.
Really?
No,
Give me some examples. Give me some.
Oh, we have 4 years ago. The first year I graduated was Catherine Heisenauer, who is opened his own restaurant in Lunenburg. Two girls, but is a catering business open. It was Marianne Bolang and Marianne Feeney. Who opened a catering business, Sweet and Saucy.
Sweet and saucy.
Sweet and saucy.
I love that.
I love the idea. And then a multitude of chefs after that who became chef at Wakana and on. So you look at different approach that way. We have people who exceed on the military wise. So they were military for 25 years and came to the course and exceed in there.
I love that.
Exceed in there, and it literally took every award we can get on high marks and dedication and tutoring and helping, and so the mature student, those guys around 35, 40 years old.
And it's a field that they can get involved in, which is nice because you have a diversified group of people that you're
Totally. Yes.
educating in a
Yes.
field that really,
Oh yeah,
like we all said off camera, everybody eats,
totally.
right? So it's a necessity every day, a multitude of times per day.
And you pick your field, and you pick where you want to do.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it, because with the experience, like for example, Dylan's going to find out if he works better, and for him, if he has a better opportunity to work in a restaurant, in resorts, in maybe the hospital environment or prison, or believe it or not,
They have to eat too.
They have to eat too. And incarcerations.
Lots of clients
It's
there.
a lot of clients.
It's a big list, Dylan.
Yeah, it's always full. It's funny. The restaurant is always full there, but no, it's a huge opportunity. And again, they are craving for cooks, for professional cooks.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
we have so many cooks they call walk out the street, no papers, nothing. And I found they're good. Don't get me wrong. Is a really good cook, very passionate about it. But they have the tendency to be limited on what they know and what they do. And that's the only downside I found of what I know and what I experienced through my years in Canada is fantastic summer chef, very, very famous. But they work very, very hard to be there. And he's only one of 1,000 to become, it's easy. I find he's always recommends is just a couple of years of school. It's a good investment. Believe me, you get your money back in no time.
Absolutely,
So,
no question. I remember when I first met Dylan. I come home in early October, and the first thing he did is he walked out and shook my hand, and I was very impressed with that because Glenn and Michael shared that he was very shy, and I'm like, he's very forward with me. He's automatically showing a level of professionalism to me that stands out.
Yep.
And we've had some really good conversations about being the difference and standing out in your field and not just being average and pushing the limits and because that makes you stand out as an individual.
Yeah, we're gonna pick. You just and we have the question all the time: why are you gonna pick of the three guys? I need a sous chef. Who's gonna pick? Do I pick the best cook? Or do I pick the best person or the best? So the best Attitude, you don't know.
Well, it's a work
So
environment.
what is the work environment? Who's the guy who's
Exactly.
going to fit? Who likes him? You know what I mean? And not so most of the time, he's not necessarily the best cook.
Exactly, because it's a team atmosphere in that
Totally.
kitchen, right? I mean, when
Totally.
you're working
Wow.
at the speed that you're working at, depending on where you are and the environment you're in, you have to have
Yeah.
qualities to your
Yeah.
your persona. If you don't have those, it's just not all about your knowledge base all the
Yeah,
time.
flexibilities and people they call that and people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you're all up in arms every day and you're throwing plates and
yeah, those days are gone.
Yeah,
It's funny. There's still. I hope like the Gordon Ramsay's, the big Gordon Ramsay thingy there. I think those. Thank goodness. Hopefully it's gone, and then we don't do that. But I live that. I know that, and we were in kitchen where chefs were really mental sometime because of alcohol or drugs or whatever, and then you learn very quickly to say no, I'm not going.
Yeah,
I'm
100%.
not going doing that.
Totally
So,
agree.
No way. So. I was considered as a hard ass. I mean, that's what it was. I mean, a lot of even 10 years ago, you can ask from student. It was like they hated me. They just oh my gosh. But I mean, the to push the standards to the limit, and sometimes you don't realize you don't want to be pushed. And at the time, I didn't know that. I thought you were taking the course because you want to take the course and
Right.
be and want to be passionate and want to be. And that was sometimes not necessarily the case. It was just I don't want to do that.
well, I mean, I'm a high performance baseball coach. And I've been doing it 30 years. There's a level of expectation
That's right.
if you're going to teach others that you expect from them.
That's right.
And if you're not getting that, then perhaps they use that out. Oh, I hate him or I hate her.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because
Well,
ultimately,
yeah,
the truth is they're just not holding that standard of excellence that you expect.
yeah,
From them,
Yeah, it
so
does happen. But I mean,
I'd rather respect you 10 times more than like you.
Oh,
I mean, if
totally,
you have
that's-
both, if you have both,
you have
that's a
both,
bonus. But I'd rather be
exactly.
respected
That's right.
for the work that I do, especially if I'm teaching others.
Yeah. And then that's what it is. And we have a different pace too. Like some learners will have a different way to learn things, and then so it's always try to adapt as much as we can, and then be able to do it. But our industry required a lot of skills and
absolutely.
knowledge and courage
pressure.
and no pressure, but that's what they're for. I mean,
But
there's
there
a good
is pressure.
environment, and it is pressure.
You have to,
And you have to learn that. You have to understand pressure. You have to understand how to make decisions sometime on a snap, and sometimes it's wrong decision, and deal with it.
the most infamous quote I've ever heard on pressure in my life was from a guy named Dirk Nowitzki. And Dirk Nowitzki was probably the best player in Dallas Mavericks history in the NBA. And they were playing against the Miami Heat with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and all those guys. And they interviewed Dirk, and I think it was Game 6 or Game 7. It might have been Game 7. They said, how do you handling the pressure? And he looked right in the camera and said, pressure? I make love pressure.
Yeah.
And that's the kitchen environment, because you have to love it.
You have to love it. On the other hand, you have to be able to organize, know your
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
and
the
be able
organizational
to-
skills
and,
part.
The organization skills, because the pressure will go down. They have little black box to do and stuff like that. And if you're prepared, it's a walk in the park. It's enjoyable. If you're not, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And you see them. You see that they
100%.
come unprepared, unfortunately, the first couple times, and then they learn very quick to be prepared, to take that edge off, right? There's no need of it. Enjoy. It's fun.
So you've been all over the world. Does someone come to mind that you've enjoyed working with in one of those kitchens, or as someone that you've met as a maybe even not a co-worker, but someone that you met in the industry that you admire?
Multitude. Multitude. We had the chef at the Rick at the Eric was his name too. Ritz-Carlton in Boston. We had 2 weeks Swiss specialty to do Ritz-Carlton in Boston. And the way the guy organized, he was in a kitchen just like a prince walking through. He knew everybody in there. He knew what's going on just by looking at. And I said, one day, I'm going to be him. I guarantee I'm just going to be able to handle the situation. It was a busy hotel. It was insanely busy. And We have pretty much the same at the World Trade Center with Christophe Lizard, been the executive chef there. And the same thing. Those guys are working for 9,000 people, 15,000 people on banquet. Everything is like orchestra. And be able to organize that is like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then you look up for them, and then you say, well, how you organize that? I says, organize what? I'm doing that for 20 years now. So, but the first you have headaches, you have pressure on you as the first jobs as executive.
You have to be a big problem solver, I think.
You have to
you're
sit down
managing
and
people
be humble. Oh no,
and
you have
product.
to, whoa, exactly. But
right.
You have to sit down and say, "Whoa, hang on a second, right?" So,
And then if you have a situation in a kitchen where something goes wrong, you have to have the flexibility and understanding
correct.
that you can make it right.
That is correct.
Figure something out
You
to
have
make it right.
and quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then without hurting your clients or the price or the quality of your food. But generally speaking, that's really what we do. We do the best is to be flexible and deliver the best quality possible for the price. That's basically what we after, and we have to have fun. There's no way around. Like if I see kitchen so tense, I mean, you can cut with a knife. I mean, there's no need of it. Like we have to be relaxed, and sometimes it's time to put your head down and do it for sure. Yeah, absolutely. We know that. But generally speaking, it has to be a good environment. You try to build a good environment.
Well, when you listen to beautiful music from an orchestra,
Same thing.
there's one individual in the front that's organizing all those instruments to make them sound
That's right.
exactly the way that music needs to sound. And in the kitchen, it can
Same
be
thing.
very similar.
It is very similar, and that delegation. We have to have delegation. There's a lot of colleague during the years wants to run the show by themselves, and it doesn't work. And the responsibility you have, and eventually you break down of nerve breakdown and everything else. So you don't want that. You want to delegate. Like if I find Dylan has a quality on research, design, or plate presentation and stuff, I'm going to pick his brain as much as I'm going to do another one. And it's not because he's only 18 years old. Then no, I'm going to pick his brain as much as a professional I will.
Well, and somebody 18 years old that's been in the industry since they were 5 years old has 13 years experience. Just because they're at a specific age doesn't mean they haven't learned. No. They may have grown up in a family that had chefs in them. You don't know.
Oh, no. You're in the artist part of it.
Exactly.
Like some are more artistic than others. And, oh, no, totally. Oh, my gosh. I learned when I was my first step in kitchen, I was like 5 years old helping my mother making the soup and then helping her on the weekend, like when she was doing little banquet in the restaurant next door, right? So,
like for us in our field in baseball, a lot of Major League Baseball players, their children grow up in the environment, so they have a lot more comfortability and confidence because their fathers have introduced them to the profession at an early age.
That is correct.
So it could be the same thing when it comes to this field.
But you know right away if you're good at it. It's not because you've been, like, for example, in a family or restaurant, a family of baseball players, then you're good baseball players.
Oh, there's some bad baseball players, too.
Oh, I know. And it's,
just because your dad played doesn't make you're going to be good.
That is correct. So that's what we teach them. That's what we try to pass along to the student is just like open up. Just like don't be stuck on one thing. Just open up a little bit better and then a bit more, and then be able to do more dishes, and then follow your guts. That's as simple as that, really. So
we say all the time, the mind works like a parachute. It only works when it's open.
Yep.
So you have to have the ability to open your mind, and sometimes open your heart too to knowledge, because it's so.
And his guts. I mean, not everybody can pack up. Oh yeah,
I agree.
Not everybody can pack up and then I'm going to England or I'm going to Ireland or whatever. It's just like, I'm going to leave my family behind for a year or 8 months or whatever. My girlfriend, or I mean, you never know, right? So, or boyfriend, whatever. And then you when you see those kind of decision making is it's different.
So, Dylan, in your classroom that you have right now, if you were to say a teammate in a kitchen, who comes to mind right away that you have chemistry with in your classroom?
Charity.
Oh, yeah?
I've known her since grade 10.
Okay.
But, yeah, we've been friends since grade 10. But I'm pretty sure so we're split into two groups, but in the other group, I know Ava and Thomas, but I've known Charity since grade 10. We've been friends since grade 10, so.
So you could work in a kitchen fairly well, you think, at this point?
Yeah.
See, that's the other thing too, is that it comes to mind when you travel with somebody that's in the same field that you know.
Yeah.
You share rent, you share all those things together,
Yes, yes.
which makes it work a lot easier, right?
That could, like, if you can do that as a
If
as
it's
a,
possible.
as a possibility. But two, I found is not easy. Believe me, is a very individual work. Believe it or not, it's a teamwork, definitely. But when it comes to travel, you can have disagreement. You can have a different way
Really?
to do it. Yep. You can I was married for 25 years, and but that's basically
29 for me, Eric, so I know what you mean. But
and then you can you that's what you do. That's exactly what you do. You just do your own pathway. It's not necessarily the same path for the other person, even though it's a great friend. But sometimes, especially for a long period of time, if you go for a whole summer, the other guy or the other companion with you can go and then say, "Oh, look, that's not for me." I have to
yeah,
go."
well, that happens.
And it does happen.
It does.
But I mean, usually backpack, study a little bit before, like, go on vacation there first, see if you like it first. Personally, that's what I used to do. And then eventually when the job comes up, then you go.
It's funny because I recently have talked to my family about coaching in other countries. I spent all my time in Canada, most of it in Atlantic Canada, but when I coached our provincial teams at the national championships, you meet a lot of people from your own country, but then I really opened up my mind to take what I've learned
Yes.
and go learn from others in other countries, which is what I'm doing there right now. And then taking all that knowledge base and going to another country like Italy, and say, I'm offering my services for a year or two here. It's very similar, just in a different field. So I think it's a great idea, a phenomenal idea. I really do. And I'm really proud of him so far that the way he conducts himself, he has a real level way about him, which is you need in a kitchen.
Yeah. And like you said before, you have to come with an open mind. There's no way around. And especially when you're young, you just like a sponge, just absorb, take notes, make your little repertoire, we call them, and then keep your recipe on the side and keep the one you like and move on. So within 4 or 5 years, you'll have a good background, but you have to change. You don't spend 5 years in the same spot.
Yeah, because I was just going to say that, Eric. For me, coaching, when I really learned, like, my first couple mentors that taught me the foundation, the better coach I became was when I learned from others.
Yes.
So I took, 2 things from this individual, 2 from that, 3 from that individual,
Exactly.
and then I claimed it all as my own.
That is your experience. Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
Right? A good friend of mine, Art Napolitano from Hollis, New Hampshire, he would always say, when you take something from someone else, give them credit 7 times.
Yeah.
After that, it's yours.
After that is yours. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But you pretty much, the recipe are here to share. It's a lot of us don't share recipe. I don't know why. But, the famous secret recipe, I guess, of some sort.
Right.
But for us, we just open up. It's just like we tell you, I'm telling them every trick I know. When it comes to deboning, to make a sauce, to make a cut, to make a trim, try to show them as much as I can.
Well, they're very fortunate to have a teacher. And I was very curious, and I really appreciate you coming in today because I can see he's in really good hands. Really good hands. I think in our area where we live, you're an incredible asset to our community and to the people that are going to be leaving and moving on, because I can easily see that you're a very strong mentor.
Thank you. Well, I'll try to. Experience will make a difference. So when I first started teaching, I was
You were a hard ass?
I didn't know. Yeah.
No,
but I was acting. Yeah.
Well, because you come
But I
from a
was
field where you
acting-
were.
exactly. We came from the field, so I was acting like an executive chef, like a chef instead of a teacher.
Right.
And I realized that I was like 3 or 4 years in, and then again I was thinking all my audience was like super motivated, wants to learn, etc. And like I say, it wasn't the case. So it took me a few years to just mellow down, calm down a bit, and I still, I'm still a little picky at time and quality.
Nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their nuances,
I know.
their personality traits.
Yep.
There's not a perfect person on the planet. I've never met one.
Nope.
But if you can make an impact on other people in the way that you're doing,
Yep.
then we're making the planet a better place to live.
Totally.
It really is.
Totally.
Eric Matuchet, who's come into our studio today to share with us. I got that last name right?
Yes.
I said it like about 200 times in my head during the broadcast. I'm like, because it's so unique, right? Very unique.
It is.
And Eric, I really appreciate you coming in and sharing time with Dylan because
My pleasure.
he admires you. And I'm very pleased to have you here because it proves to me that he's in very good hands. And I can tell you, anybody that's going to consider taking culinary in Canada, especially Atlantic Canada, you should look up Nova Scotia Community College and the Lunenburg campus because this gentleman across from me knows his stuff. The weekly Woodcast with Dennis and Michael Woodworth. We'll look forward to talking to you next time. Take care.